that you want to gather any props that you have available. So a belt or a tie or any kind of strap, like a yoga strap. One or two blocks include a bench, a small table, a chair, a big couple of big books, and then a blanket or two. So affirm, like our yoga blankets are, but if you don't have that, a couple of thick towels can also be just fine. Okay, so we're just going to get started here by just connecting with our breath to begin with. So find a comfortable seat, and you can also lie down if that's more comfortable for you or you prefer that. So main thing is you have a nice tall spine and your chest is open. And then just put your legs in any kind of position that is comfortable, using any kind of props so that you feel supported in your body. And then we're going to just start with the breath. So when you're ready, you can either close your eyes or you can just let your gaze be soft and more downward focused, like just very soft eyes. And start by taking a few deep breaths just to kind of charge up for a moment, but then settle into a comfortable breath, a rate and depth that feels full, but there's no sense of strain to it. And I'd like you to simply follow your breath, the feeling of it primarily. So notice where you first feel the breath moving into your body. Might be at the touch of your nostrils or further along the nasal passageway, might be in the back of the throat, or it might even be in your chest or your belly as the inhale is getting fuller, that's where you're first conscious of it. And then follow it on the exhale as well. So as the breath empties, aware of the feeling of that emptying. And after a few rounds of following the breath from the first touch to the fullness of the inhale, and then the exhale to the feeling of emptying, pick the point in your body or the place in your body where the breath feels the most, where you feel the most sensation, where it's like the biggest feeling. So might be in the belly or it might be in the chest, wherever that is for you, where you feel that strongest sense of the movement of your breath. And now focus your attention there as you're breathing in and breathing out. And at any point, if you discover your mind becomes distracted by sounds or sensations or thoughts, as soon as you realize it, just shift your attention back to the breath, feeling of the breath moving in your body. Breathing in and breathing out. Keep your spine nice and tall, chest lifted, face relaxed. Just letting your mind take a break from doing and thinking. And now begin to focus your attention at the end of the inhale and add a slight pause there. Or if you're already doing that, just focusing on that space that comes before your exhalation and the feeling of fullness at the end of the inhale. And then do the same at the end of the exhale. So at the end of the exhale, creating a space or a slight pause, or just focusing on one that's already there. And when you're in that pause, again, feel the emptiness. And then notice that desire for the next inhale. And just continue to follow your breath like that. Each inhale, and then pausing at that space between the inhale and the exhale. And then emptying out. And again, focusing for a moment on that pause at the end of your exhalation and at the feeling of emptiness and the desire for the next inhale. So we'll just take about another minute. I'll let you know. Just following your breath. And now slowly begin to leave your breath and take just another moment or two to check in with yourself and notice how you're feeling, how your body is doing today, what your energy is like as you start your practice. And notice any other dimension of being that seems important as you start your practice today. So mentally, emotionally, spiritually, as well as physical. And then whenever you feel that you've had the time you need to check in, then you can go ahead and slowly open up your eyes. Hello, welcome. So we're going to start practice today on the back. And so if you have a strap or something strap-like nearby, grab that and just have it by your mat. But you're going to come onto your back and start out with a full body stretch. So stretching your legs out, your arms can go overhead, and you're just giving yourself a nice stretch to begin with. Take a few deep breaths as you do this. Okay, and then when you're ready, you're going to bring both hands up towards the ceiling, interlace your fingers together, and then flip your palms up. Okay. Now draw your upper arm bones down into the shoulder sockets, and so you'll feel your shoulder blades kind of firm on your back here. And then begin to draw your arms back towards the floor behind you. Yeah, so if you have to scoot a little bit to create that space. But what I want you to do is that getting to the floor is less the goal than keeping your arms straight. So try not to bend at the elbows, but to really press through the palms of your hands. And then your arms go where they go. At the same time, you're extending through your legs, your feet are flexed, heels are on the floor. Okay, and then unclasp your fingers and bring your knees into your chest for a quick hug. Maybe rock a little bit from side to side. Giving your sacrum a little bit of a massage. Okay, when you've finished with that, you'll place both feet on the floor with your knees bent and your legs, so your legs are like sit bone width apart and your heels are roughly lined up with your two sit bones. We're gonna start with a number 4 hip stretch. So cross your right ankle over your left thigh. So a big cross here, foot is flexed. And then you'll draw both of your legs towards your chest. And if you can clasp your hands around that left thigh, and again, if it's hard to reach your thigh, or if the only way you can reach it, your head's trying to come off the floor, your back's trying to come up the floor, that's when you want to grab your belt and give yourself a little more space here, so that your whole torso is on the floor. Relax your shoulders, so even though your arms are stretched out, try not to tense up the area at the top of the shoulders there. Keep your face relaxed as well. And just a nice steady breath here. Now you're going to unclasp your hands, but keep your legs crossed like this. And you're going to move into a twist, and then we're going to do a couple other hip openers. So you're going to keep your legs just like that, crossed, but you're going to take them to your left. So your left leg will be on its side, and the sole of your right foot will be on the floor. Now you can make adjustments here. So if you draw both of your legs in the direction of your head, you're going to feel probably more sensation, more stretch. If you want to have the opposite modification, so less, then you can just move them away from the direction of your head. Now, we're going to do 2 stretches in this position. So the first one is you're going to take your left hand to the inside of your right knee and push the knee away from you. So you should feel that stretch in the front of the hip joint, in the front of the right hip joint, and maybe some other places. Okay, so Angela, the opposite of what you're doing. Yeah, so lift your knee up. Yeah, your right knee lifted up, and you're pushing away. So we're gonna do the one you were doing, we're gonna do next. Okay, so you're pushing the knee away. Your right arm can just extend straight out from the shoulder, or if you don't have room for it to be straight, you can just bend it at the elbow, or you can have it in any other position that's comfortable. Now, from this stretch, we're going to move into the second variation. So now you're going to draw that knee either towards the floor or kind of towards your chest. So now you're going to feel this in the outer right hip, the buttock area perhaps. And again, you can move a little bit, move a little around here to find the sensation of stretch that feels appropriate for your body. And on this stretch, it's okay if your right foot comes off the floor, so it doesn't have to stay on the floor. You can just, that's another way you can modify it. If you want to draw deeper into the stretch, like taking your thigh closer to your chest, then the foot will probably need to come off the floor. But if you're just pressing it down towards the floor, then probably the side of the foot will be on the floor. Now move back to the first stretch again. So we're going to repeat each of those one more time. So now you're going to be pushing. So now your foot is on the floor. So the sole of the right foot is on the floor. And you're pressing the inside of the knee area away from you. And opening up the hip joint from the front. Okay, maybe one or two more breaths here, and then do the second variation one more time. So now you're drawing that thigh either in towards your chest or down towards the floor. And you can play around with that, just exploring the sensation in your body, how it's feeling in that hip. And then when you feel complete, go ahead and come back up to center. So back onto your back again, uncrossing your legs. And you might want to hug your knees to your chest or do a couple windshield wiper knees or just any other kind of movement that seems like a nice counter pose for your body. And then we'll repeat that sequence on the second side. So whenever you are ready, then you'll come back to feet on the floor, knees bent, and you're going to cross now your left ankle over your right thigh. And we start with the number 4 hip stretch. So you'll start to draw your legs in towards your chest, clasping your hands around the back of that left thigh. And so notice the difference between the first side and the second side, if there is one. For most of us, there's going to be a difference in two sides to some degree. But that's part of why we do this stuff, right, on two sides, is to lessen that and make more balance in the body. So again, relax your shoulders. And make sure your neck is long. So if you feel like the front of your throat feels a little bit hard or tense, draw the back of the neck longer. So yeah, so just to get a little more balance there, so there's not that feeling of stress or strain in the front of the throat. The back of the neck is nice and long. Okay, one or two more breaths, and then we'll move into the twist, and then the other two stretches. So when you're ready, you'll unclasp your hands, keep the cross, and now you're going to drop your body over to the left side. I mean, to the, which side? The right side, sorry. Yeah, so now the right leg, the bent right leg is on its side, and the sole of your left foot is on the floor, and the first stretch is going to be pushing the inside of the knee away from you. So opening up the front of that left hip joint now. And just keeping a nice steady breath as you move into this stretch. And if it feels pretty tight in that area, you can also move in and out of the stretch. So you can use your breath, and as you exhale, you can go as deep as you want to go, but just 1 or 2 seconds, and count that, 1,000, 2,000. And then as you breathe in, you can release the stretch a little bit. Or you can just hold the stretch steady. So either of those are fine. Moving in and out of a stretch is often a really good way to work with particularly tight areas or where the sensation is just very intense, so it's hard to stay. So moving in and out with your breath is a good way to work with that. Now move into the second variation when you're ready. So then you're going to be drawing that left thigh either towards your chest or down towards the floor next to you. Just keep your breath steady and smooth. Now, I just realized that my picture says Willow Street Yoga Center. So for those of you who maybe don't know me, I'm Sheree, just so you have a name for me if you need to use it. Now move back to the first stretch again. Yeah, so that bottom leg is helping to hold your foot in place, particularly for this variation of the stretch. But remember, you can also reposition your legs. So if you want to modify this and have more stretch, then move both legs in the direction of your head and you'll intensify the feeling of stretch. If you need to modify it to be less intense, then just take your legs in the opposite direction a little bit until you find the place that feels the best fit for your body. And then finish up with the second stretch for the second time. Again, nice, smooth, steady, even breath. And then whenever you're complete with the second stretch, second time around, you can bring your legs back up to center, uncross. And again, windshield wiper knees, knees to chest, any other kind of movement. It seems like a good idea. And we'll be moving from here into the lying big toe stretch. We're going to do all three variations of that. So whenever you're ready, you can grab your strap. I'm going to place the strap around the right foot to begin with. So your left leg can either stay bent with the foot on the floor, or you can straighten it out. But I want you to do two things before you start stretching. So the first thing I want you to do is to make sure your leg is straight, not locked, but straight. The way I want you to make it straight is to imagine trying to place the sole of your foot on the ceiling. And I don't want you to start from a big sensation of stretch. So first get the legs straight. Okay, and then engage your thigh muscles. So that's going to help you keep it straight without locking your knee or hyperextending there. And then you can start to move into the hamstring stretch. And again, if you want to just move to a point of stretch sensation that's appropriate and just stay there steady, you can do that. If you're tighter in the hamstrings, then what I suggest is you move in and out of the stretch. So the technique is called active isolated stretching. And so basically what you're doing is on your inhale, you're backing away from the stretch to some degree. As you begin your exhalation, you start to move into the stretch, and then the last 1 or 2 seconds of your exhalation, you're going as deep as you want to go. So you're only holding the most intense feeling of stretch for 1 to 2 seconds. And then as you begin your next inhale, you just back off a little bit. And do about 6 breaths here. So just with this stretch, 6 breaths. Nice, long, even breath here. Foot stays flexed. But you can, so the more flexed your foot, the more you're also going to feel the stretch in the lower leg and the calf muscle. If you need to adjust that, then imagine just pressing on the gas pedal of your car. So not a pointed foot, but somewhere in between. Call it the Barbie foot. It's like ready for a high heel at any moment. And then whenever you've done about 6 breaths in this stretch, we'll be moving now into the side stretch. So before you move into the side stretch, take both ends of your strap into your right hand, and then go ahead and externally rotate your legs. You're going to rotate it from insertion in the hip socket, and then you're going to start to take the leg over to the right, and without your left buttock leaving the floor at all. So the rest of your body is staying pretty much straight and flat on the floor. And then you can also modify by moving your leg in the direction of your head or away from your head. So more intensity, more stretch will be in the direction of your head and in the direction of the floor. Modifying for less will be letting the leg lift a little away from the floor to some degree, and also letting it move in the direction of your other foot. Again, about 6 breaths here. Whenever you've completed about 6 breaths, let your leg lift itself up. So instead of pulling it up with your strap, just use those adductor muscles to get the leg back up straight. And now we're going to move into the final variation, which is the twist. So take both ends of your strap now into your left hand. Your right arm can stretch straight out from your right shoulder. And then you're going to bring that leg across your body and to the floor on your left. So yes, your right buttock must leave the floor. So your whole torso is twisting to the left. And basically your upper back, like right across the tops of your shoulder blades, the tops of your shoulders, that's staying on the floor as well as the back of your head. But the rest of the body is twisting, and once you get like to the pelvis, your pelvis is trying as best as you can to be totally sideways. So you're resting now on the side, the whole left side, from your pelvis down to your left foot. So even your left toes can be pointing in the same direction. And then modifying is, again, changing the position of that right leg. So if you move the leg towards your head in that direction, you'll increase the sensation. If you go in the opposite direction, it'll lessen it. And you know, with all of these stretches, you can use active isolated stretching technique if you wish, or just hold the stretch. So about 6 breaths as well here. And whenever you've completed this 3rd one, you'll let the leg come back up to center. Okay, and you can go ahead and switch sides. So we're going to start with the hamstring stretch first, straight up. So first, make sure your leg is straight. So press the sole of the foot towards the ceiling. Engage your thigh muscles. And then you can begin moving into the stretch. The other thing to pay attention to is that you're not tucking your tail. So have the intention to put your sit bones onto the floor. So that'll slightly tilt your pelvis forward rather than tucking it. Now, just so you know, your sit bones won't actually get on the floor. but that intention to have that slight forward tilt is what you're after. And then just working with this side. How is this side different from the first side? Is there any difference? Keep your breath nice and smooth, steady. Yep, keep that engagement in your thigh. And remember, you can also adjust the foot position, so that can change how it feels in the lower leg. So the more strongly flexed, the more you're going to be stretching out that lower leg as well, that calf muscle. Okay, now when you feel complete with that one, we'll move into the second variation. So again, take both ends of the strap into your left arm and now externally rotate your leg. So where it inserts into the hip socket, where that thigh bone inserts, you're rotating outward away from midline. And then you can start to take that left leg towards the floor on the left. Again, adjusting, modifying as is appropriate. Going deeper, you're drawing the leg in the direction of your head. If you need to lessen, modify that way, then let the leg move away from the head. Right buttock is staying firmly on the floor. Yeah, and your left leg can be bent with the foot on the floor, or it can be straight. So you get to do it either way for this variation. And again, roughly 6 breaths. Nice, smooth, even breaths here. Whenever you've completed this side, this stretch, let the leg lift itself up. So feeling your leg muscles, those inner thigh muscles, actually working to come back up to center. Now, if you had your right knee bent, now is the time to stretch it out straight for the twist. So you're going to take both ends of the strap now into your right hand. Your left arm stretches out to the side from the shoulder, and now you're going to move into the twist. And then once you're in the twist, then again, roughly 6 breaths here, modifying as needed. So to go deeper, go in the direction of your head. To go for less sensation, move in the direction of your feet. And then whenever you're complete with this final one, back up to center. You can take the belt off your foot. Go ahead and do knees to center, windshield wiper knees, or any other kind of movement that seems like a good idea. Okay, from here, we'll be coming onto hands and knees and doing a few things there. If you know your knees would appreciate some padding, grab your thick towel or blanket or anything else that you can place under your knees, and you'll start off in table pose and then just start doing some cat-cows. So you're moving, really warming up the spine here. So when the tail drops down and the spine arches up to the ceiling and your head drops down, that's Halloween cat. Okay, and then the opposite movement is tail up, spine drops down and extends, and the head starts to stretch up. But be careful you do not thrust your chin forward. So you want to think of extending through the crown of the head in a gentle arc. And just going back and forth a few more times. If you find that your wrists are not happy here, there are a couple things you can do. One is that you can position your hands more forward of your shoulders. Okay, so you can move them even 4 or 5 inches in front, and that will lessen the flex angle at the wrist. But the other thing that's equally important is that you want your arms and your hands to be active. So you're not just dropping your weight onto your hands, but you're resisting. It's like you're pushing the floor away from you, and your hands are like a cat kneading. So you're activating your hands so that the muscles are of your forearms and of your hands are all supporting that wrist joint. Okay, now when you're ready, come to a long spine, so table. And then we're going to stretch the calf muscles out here. So take your right leg and stretch it back with the toes turned under and on the floor. Okay, keep long through your entire spine, so don't let your head drop down. That's it, long neck. And you can use your arms here to get more stretch, so you're reaching back through that heel. We're going to add a side bend here. So if you look up just for a moment here. So we're going to go from this position where we were stretching out the calf, lift the leg up and cross it over, and then turn your head in the same direction and look at your foot. You want to try to keep the big and little toe side of the foot on the floor. So you're getting a nice stretch to the whole right side, torso all the way to the hip and the leg. Okay, again, don't let your head drop down. Turn it sideways, but keep the head lifted. And Carol, if you turn your face, I can't see if is your face, oh yeah, it is. It was your hair, sorry. I couldn't tell. Yeah, but you're looking at that foot, getting this nice stretch. Let's see here. Yeah, all right, good. All right, come back to center. Okay, take a moment and then we'll calf stretch the other side. So now you're going to stretch the left leg back, turn the toes under, and just start to reach back through that heel. You can add more traction for the stretch if you use your arms, so really pushing strongly through the arms. Okay, and you're all doing a great job with keeping your neck long. Keep breathing. And now go ahead and lift that leg up, cross it over. That's it. And then make sure that both the little and big toe side of the foot are in contact with the floor. And then you're turning your head so that you can maybe see that foot over there, and just getting a nice stretch now to your left side. Okay, when you're ready, you can bring that leg back to center. Now we're going to come into balancing table and then add a little more challenge to it. So start with your right leg, stretch straight out again, and then lift it off the floor. So don't lift it too high or you're going to take your spine into a back bend, and we want to keep it extended. Okay, so the opposite arm will stretch forward, and you're trying to keep that upper arm kind of level with your ear. Okay, now to add a little bit more challenge, you're going to bend your knee and then your elbow and bring them together underneath you. Yeah, so you'll have to kind of round your back a little bit. You get them as close to touching as you can manage, and then you're going to straighten back out. Try to move slow here. And then just repeat that about 6 times. Nice and slow, nice and slow. Drawing in and then extending back out again. Nice long spine. So I like to exhale as I bring the elbow and knee together. Inhale as I stretch out straight. But I'm happy if you're breathing too, so that's okay. Okay, nice. Now, once you've done about 6 times, then you'll bring everything back down to a floor. And you may want a cat, cow, or child, extended child's pose. And then we'll move into the second side. So whenever you're ready, then you'll start with balancing table. So now the left leg will come up, parallel to the floor. Right arm will stretch out. And give yourself a few moments just in the balancing table pose so that you feel steady. Remember, actively pushing through your left arm, active hands, navel towards the spine. And then when you're ready, you're going to slowly begin to bend elbow and knee and bring them as close to touching underneath you, and then straighten back out again. So you exhale as you come in, and then inhale as you stretch out. Try to move slowly here. So that makes it a little more challenging to keep your balance, but it also helps to work your core a little more effectively. So about 6 times again on the second side. And then again, once you're done, you can cat, cow, or extended child, or puppy dog. When you're ready, you're going to make your way up to standing. So we're going to move into a chair pose variation next. And I'm going to show you first how I'd like you to do this. So especially if any of you have issues with your knees, we want to make sure that we're not bringing the knees forward of the front of your ankles. So I'm going to show you how we're going to come into this. So first of all, you want to stand with your feet wide, about mat width apart, okay? And then you're going to start to shift your hips back. And as you do that, the first thing I want you to feel is how you're moving your weight into your heels. So your toes will feel like they want to fly up away from the floor. That's good because it means your weight is where it belongs, but press the toes onto the floor. Don't let them come away. So I'm going to shift my weight back, and then I'm going to keep extending my butt back as I start to lower my hips. So I want to try to keep my shins back. So you can see how my feet keep wanting to fly away, but I'm going to press them down. Okay, once I get kind of to almost like I'm sitting in a chair, and I'm hinged pretty far forward right now, I'm going to use my thighs and unhinge and lift my chest up. So now I'm bringing a back bend here. Externally rotate each of your arms, and you're going to press them back as well. Here, the main thing to be careful of once you're in pretty much the full pose is that you're not doing this with your chin. Draw the chin down. Front of the throat, back of the neck are both nice and long. So we're going to be in this variation, and then we'll be moving from here to this variation. But you can also bend your elbows for that one. So go ahead and step your feet nice and wide. Start to shift your hips back. So notice that the weight goes into your heels, but press the toes down. Lower the hips to some amount. You know, you should start to feel yourself warming up here. And then using your hands on your thighs, you're going to lift your chest up. Okay, once your chest is up, externally rotate both arms and press them back. So your whole back body should be really talking to you. You should start to feel a little bit warm. Keep the chest lifted and extend through the crown of your head, but no jetting of the chin. Okay, looking good, everyone. Keep breathing. Okay, now keep everything the same, but you're going to sweep your arms forward and up, either straight up so your palms are facing forward and you're pressing your arms back, or you can bend at the elbows and you're going to press the elbows back if you're doing that variation. So you should feel those shoulder blades really working. You can smile when you're doing this too. It's allowed. Okay, now sweep the arms down and back again. Good, and then inhale, you're gonna come all the way up to standing, reaching up with your arms, and then exhale as you come into standing forward bend. So all the way over now. Now remember, when you bend, you want to bend from your hip joint, so from where your thigh is meeting your torso, rather than bending from your spine. So some ways to get the bend there more deeply. You already have a wide stance, and that's one thing that you can do. You can also bend your knees. You can bend your knees. And then you can also place your hands on a block. So if your hands don't easily touch the floor, you know, place your hands on the block. And now we can move around in this forward bend to start to shift the sensation and get other areas of the body. So I call this kind of like really nourishing movement, just ramping up all the places that you can find in the body. So you can shift your hips forward and walk your hands forward, and you'll feel that the calves again, okay, and the hamstrings. So it's almost like a really short dog pose. Now start to shift your hips back, but keep stretching your upper body forward. So try to move your hips back behind your heels. So even more, Carol. Yes, good. And that's going to take the stretch more into your low back area. So move back and forth between those two variations. Okay, and then we're going to move into downward facing dog. So just maybe walk forward depending on where you are on your sticky mat so that you can step back to downward facing dog. Just make a lot of space between your hands and feet here. So your spine can be really long. Also, just like with forward bend, downward dog, you don't have to have straight legs. But if you want to work the hamstrings a little bit more, you can lift your sit bones up, extend from the shoulder blades through the arms, and then you can start to reach your heels to the floor, either one at a time or both together. And then we'll move into some dog planks. So we're going to start to build up some heat here. So on your next inhale, look between your hands, shift your shoulders forward, coming into plank pose. Hold plank with your exhalation. And then on your next inhale, back to downward dog. And then hold dog with your exhale. So move back and forth between those two poses, one full breath. As you come into plank, focus on the power in the pose. So on really pressing through your arms, activating your hands, engaging your core, and also your thighs. Let those thigh muscles really participate. When you move into dog, focus on the space you're creating, especially the space in your spine, but also through the shoulders, backs of the legs. Now, the next time that you're in downward facing dog and you finish your exhalation, we're going to move into one-legged dog and then move between one-legged dog and one-legged plank. So that's going to get you even more warmed up. All right, so whenever you're ready, inhale your right leg into the air. Good. Now don't open up the hip, so keep the leg and the toes facing the floor. Okay, on your next inhale, shift into one-legged plank. And then hold with your exhale. And then back to one-legged dog. After your exhalation, go ahead and place that right foot on the floor. Okay, now second side when you're ready. So left leg comes up on the inhale, you hold it up on the exhale. Inhale to one-legged plank as you're ready, and then hold with your exhale. Inhale back to one-legged dog, and then exhale that foot to the floor. Okay, from here, please go ahead and step your right foot forward to lunge. Once you get that leg all the way up between your hands, pivot on your back foot and take it down to the floor. So turn it sideways. Your back foot turns sideways. Yeah, so Richard, lift your knee up. Put your hands on the floor. Okay, lift your knee up. Now, turn the foot sideways, and then you're going to all come up to standing. So once you get that foot down, we're going to come into side angle pose next. So before we move into the full shape of that pose, take your attention to your back straight leg and make it super committed to the earth. So that's your anchor. Firm the muscles of that leg and press actively through it. So that foot feels firmly rooted to the floor. Now, if you haven't already bent your front knee, go ahead and bend it to about 90 degrees. And then hinge forward and place your right forearm on the top of that thigh. Good. Press the forearm down into the thigh as you extend through your spine, and then take your top shoulder and roll it up and back, opening up as fully through the chest as you can. Make sure the back of your head is moving back. And now you can go ahead and stretch your top arm in the direction of your head. So it's just right over your ear, stretching forward. If for any reason your top shoulder is not happy with that, you can also either have your arms straight up to the ceiling or just place it on your hip. So any of those options are fine. Keep strong action through both of your legs. Good. Now with your next inhale, come up to standing. So feel the leg muscles and the core muscles helping you do that. We're going to switch sides just by turning your feet. So you're going to turn your right foot in. So now that's your back leg, your right foot in and left foot out. Okay, start with your attention on that back leg and make the thigh muscles really strong. Push through that leg, so you feel that you are rooted through that back leg. Then front knee bends to about 90 degrees. Place your forearm on the top of the thigh. Pressing down into the thigh, extend your spine as fully as you can, and then open up by rolling your top shoulder back. Taking the shoulder blade slightly down once it's anchored on your back body, and then go ahead and stretch your top arm. Keep that commitment through your legs, that commitment to the earth, to the power in this pose. So actively pushing through the legs. Intention to keep that chest nice and open here. Smooth and even breath. Now after your next exhalation, you'll inhale to come out of the pose. So push through the legs and feel how you're using the legs and the core. So you're going to switch sides again. So turning your left foot in, right foot out. Okay, but now we're going to come into warrior one. So you're going to take your back foot and you can lift the heel up and turn the angle of your foot in to about 45 degrees. So with warrior one, the orientation of your torso is in the same direction of your front leg. So the front knee will bend. You're facing that direction with your torso. Okay, and your back foot heel can be off the floor if you want to make it a little more of a balancing pose, but it's turned in 45 degrees if your foot is on the floor. And then when you're ready, go ahead and inhale both arms straight up. Push actively through both legs and let the strength and the power of your lower body allow your spine to get as long as possible. Really reaching up through the entire length of the spine, through the crown of the head. Now after your next inhale, exhale, letting your arms come down to your sides. And we'll switch to the second side. So again, you're going to turn your right foot in, left foot out. And then adjust that back foot. So one thing that's important in this pose, whether your foot is on the floor or your heel is in the air, is make sure that your back foot is wider than your front foot, like about sit bone width apart, because that's going to let you be more steady through your feet. When you're ready, bend the front knee to about 90 degrees. Okay, and then with an inhale, reaching up through your arms. Okay, with each exhale, feel that the energy of your lower body recommitting to the earth. So pressing down into the earth through both legs. Every inhale is creating more space, more length in the spine, more space in your side body. And Stephanie, see if you can get your arms straighter. Yeah, like that. Good. Keep your breath even, smooth, nice and full. Okay, after your next inhalation, exhale, bring your arms to your sides. Now turn both of your feet straight ahead. We're going to come into a wide-legged forward bend. So it's usually actually easier in this pose to have your feet a little wider than you might think you can go. When you're coming into the pose, start by bending your knees a little bit and reach your sit bones back. So you're trying to get that bend to come again from your hip joint. You can place your hands on a block if they don't reach the floor. You can bend your knees here. Main thing is make your spine nice and long. And then we can add variations to this pose as well, just like we did with the standing forward bend with the legs more parallel to each other. So one of my favorite things to do here is I call it speed skater. So what you'll do is you'll bend your right knee, start to shift your body. You can even walk your hands to the right. Your left leg is straight. Okay, and you're extending through that left leg. You should feel a nice stretch in the inner thigh. And then you go to the other side. And so bending the left knee, right leg is straight. You can walk your hands over to each side to add a little bit more stretch. Then you're just moving back and forth a couple of times. And then you can also add the same two variations we did with the other forward bend. So if you come back to center, you can shift your hips back. And so first get the hips to go back, and then keep them back as you walk your hands forward, either keeping them on the floor, on spider fingers, or on a block. And that will bring you into a nice stretch for the low back. And then you can start to shift your hips forward And just adjust your arms into whatever is comfortable. But now we're taking the stretch more into the hamstrings and the lower legs, the calf muscles here. So move back and forth a few times between those two variations. Okay, and then when you're ready, you'll come back to just standard wide-legged forward bend, step your feet together, and come up to standing. Okay, so we're going to finish with a couple of balancing poses. So the first one is going to be half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. So for this one, if you have a block that you want to use, you want to grab that or something block-like. So we'll start off on with the right leg being the balancing leg to begin with. And you want to place the block so it's lined up on the little toe side of your right foot, but it's about 8 or 10 inches forward of the foot. Yeah, so Carol, you're too far away from the block, just 8 or 10 inches. There you go. And then shift your weight to your right leg and take your left foot slightly behind the right leg. So with the toes turned under. So like you can still, so that's a little too far back, Carol. Get a little closer because we're going to be lifting that left leg in the air. So you want to center your weight on your right leg. So start to shift your weight onto that right leg and then go ahead and lean forward and take your hand to the block, but try not to lean into the block. Yeah, so Carol, if you pull your block back, yeah, so you're more centered on your standing leg here. You're more centered on your standing leg. And then you're trying to lift the back leg up. Now the lifted leg is going to have the tendency to drift back. So once you get the leg up there, move it forward just a little bit, like maybe an inch or so forward. And then you're going to open up through the chest. So you're going to try to stack that left shoulder as close to over the right as you can. You're going to try to stack the left hip over. And then you're trying to shift your weight onto your leg and off the block. It doesn't mean you have to take your hand off the block, but try to shift your weight to the leg. Instead of leaning into the block, try to balance on your standing leg. Yeah, have some fun. So Shannon, see if you can draw that top shoulder a little bit more back. So if you put your hand on your hip, it'll be easier to do that. Yeah, put your hand on your hip. Once you are up, you get the leg up, then you work on opening up. Make sure your head is also moving back. If it comes forward, it's going to tend to collapse your chest. Yeah, have fun. Smiling is good. And then whenever you feel complete with that side, you're going to go ahead and switch. So you can do a little happy dance. Just one more side. You're not a centipede. You don't have to do 99, right? So that's good. So whenever you're ready, moving into the second side. So lining the block up with the little toe side now of the left foot. So if your block is too close, you'll be kind of collapsing into your right waist. If it's too far away, you'll be leaning into the block, which is going to throw your balance off, even though it may feel like that's the good idea. It's actually not going to help you to balance. Okay, so your top arm, just take it to your hip. So Ellen, are you just doing another variation? Okay, there you go. So let yourself open up. And by opening up, you're trying to very slowly move deeper into the pose. Opening up the chest, opening up to the front of the pelvis. And remember that that leg is going to want to drift back. So take it slightly forward. Just move it slowly, but about an inch in the direction of your toes. And just remind yourself that these poses aren't, it's not the destination, it's the journey. So it's practicing. Coming in and coming out, giving it another shot, seeing where you can go with it today. Now, whenever you feel complete on your second side, you can go ahead and come out of that pose. We're going to do one more balancing thing, and I'm going to show it to you because it's not really a pose per se. So you'll be starting in mountain pose, and I'm going to be balancing now on, no, I guess I'll do my left leg. Okay, so I'm going to be balancing on my left leg first. And then the sequence is this. You're going to lift your leg up, bent. You're going to stretch it out. And then you're going to go to the side. And then you're going to cross it behind. And then to the side. And that's one repetition, but we're going to do it like 3 or 4 times. So again, up, out, side, cross in the back, side, cross in the front, side, cross in the back. And do whatever you want with your arms, but what you're trying not to do is move your torso. Trying to keep as straight and steady as you can through your torso. Yeah, so you're going to lift your knee up. You can start with whatever leg you want, then straighten the leg, and then extend it to the side. Go slowly. Try not to lean in the other direction. So you're using your core muscles. Now cross it behind you. It's not going to go as far behind you as it does in front. Try not to lean forward, but stay upright. Then out to the side again. And the leg is not, I mean, except for that first movement where you bend your knee to get the thigh up, then you're trying to keep your legs straight as you go through these motions, especially when you cross behind. And just do maybe, 3 or 4 times. Yeah, and so it is challenging to not move your torso. But the more that you can stay steady in your torso, you're really engaging your core muscles to do that, as well as challenging your balance. Okay, so straight leg behind crosses. Yeah, and if the foot comes down to the floor, that's okay. We're just playing with yoga, right? Keep your breath steady. Try to keep your focus steady. Okay, and whenever you find yourself finished with the second side, with the first side, then just go ahead and switch. So start in your mountain pose. Spine upright. Head is lifted. Back of the head is back. Gonna start with the legs straight out in front, then to the side, and then cross behind. Try to move slowly here. And part of moving slowly is so that you can notice what the rest of your body is doing, so that you can notice if you're leaning and see if you can try to not lean, either to counterbalance you here, but really keep your core really strong. Okay, and then whenever you've finished with your second side, you can do a little happy dance. And then we're gonna make our way down to the floor for Shavasana. So once you can put on any clothing or grab any props that will allow you to be as comfortable and supported as possible. When you get onto the floor, you may want to hug your knees to your chest or do a full body stretch or any other kind of movement before stretching out for relaxation. So back of the head is centered on the mat. If you're wearing glasses, you can just set them in a safe place. And then start by just gently shaking your head back and forth, like you're shaking your head no, just to release any tension around the neck. Come back to center. Okay, and now 1 or 2 deep breaths. So with each inhale, just filling up with that nourishing breath. And as you exhale, allow your body to release back to the earth. So just 2 or 3 nice full breaths, letting the exhalation begin to invite your body to let go. Then allow your breath to find its own rhythm. So now it's more that you are being breathed. You're not trying to shape the breath, make it any particular way. Just allow your breath to find its own path. You're being breathed. No effort. And now move your awareness back to the top of the head. And imagine inviting your entire scalp to release, to soften. No tension. Then the forehead relaxes. And the eyes float back into their sockets. The skin on your cheeks is just draping effortlessly from the bones. Separate your upper and lower teeth slightly and allow your tongue to rest at the bottom of the mouth. And even your lips are very slightly parted, so there's no tension in the jaw. The whole face is soft. Feel the weight of your skull now as you let go. Then move to the shoulders, relaxing the muscles around the shoulders, the upper back, the chest. And feel the weight of your arms as they rest on the floor. Just let them go. Relax your hands and your fingers. And move awareness to your back, to the upper back, the mid back, the low back. Letting those muscles release. Then moving to the mid section. And for a few moments, just feel your soft belly rising and falling with the breath. Again, just being breathed. Just feel the rise and the fall. Breathing in and breathing out. And then moving to the pelvis. First, just become aware of the weight of that part of your body as it releases to the floor. And invite all the muscles that surround your pelvis to relax. Buttocks, the hips, groins. And then the legs. Feel the weight of your legs. Invite all the leg muscles to relax. Feel the heaviness as your legs release to either the floor or to any surfaces beneath. And then relaxing the feet and the toes. And now begin to anchor your mind both in the feeling of your body being heavy and relaxed, but also to your breath, to the rise and fall of the breath. Just letting the movement of your breath keep your mind's attention. And if at any point your attention leaves the breath, and just gently coming back to it. Okay, let your awareness begin to surface. So without even opening your eyes yet, just become aware that you are in this room, that your body is relaxed. Become aware of sounds. And then begin to wiggle your fingers, your toes. Start to deepen your breath. And then moving, stretching, just slowly moving your awareness out. When you're ready or finished stretching, you can go ahead and roll to your side if you like before coming up to sit. And then you can go ahead and bring your hands to your heart, to that gesture of honor and respect and bow to yourself first, to your unique individual self, to your humanity. And then we bow, acknowledging the light we share. Namaste.
Namaste.
Have a lovely rest of your evening, and thank you so much for joining me tonight.